Hey, Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Hakodash, that was the apostles of great millstone, and show them tribulations and highways and byways, doing the works of sealing, faithfully, and continually fighting that good fight of faith. Lord willing, we are found in that number. All right. So what you see here on the screen is grains of sand. All right. And I chose this particular photo for a reason, for the lesson itself. All right. Because, once again, we're coming to a crossroads, if you will, where you got a lot of men, especially on the highways and byways, shunning a lot of these groups or a lot of these people that are coming up inquiring just because they look a certain way. Okay. And once again, knowing that it's not the look that's going to determine your nationality, as some people would think, and with that being said, we of the hopeful elect, we're spiritually minded because, let's get a couple of scriptures now. This is going to be Habakkuk 1:5. It says, "Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously, for I will work a work in your days which ye will not believe, though it be told you." Okay, so we understand that the Lord is going to start bringing people back into the fold that may not even look anywhere near like one would perceive a Hebrew Israelite would look like. And that's why it says, "I will work a work in your days which ye will not believe." All right. And you brothers out, some of you younger brothers out there in these camps, you got to be mindful now. You got to judge the spirit and test the spirit by the spirit. The scriptures speak about in the book of Sirach how the birds resort unto their like, and the truth will resort unto them that practice in her. Okay? So you got to be mindful when you speaking to these people that are coming up, inquiring, looking at the sign, asking about, their nationality, because it's all spiritual. You can't just say, "Oh, you look like a heathen, you look like a Moabite, this ain't for you." All right? So with the time is now at hand, where the Lord is now working his work, where you got a lot of people now surfacing, coming through, walking by the camps, hearing the word. We had a dude come up a couple weeks back, and this dude looked straight up like an Edomite. And he was standing there listening and listening and listening. Usually sometimes you jump on, "What you do? What you want? What you want?" But if you're spiritual enough, you'll let the spirit settle down. You won't say nothing, but you'll watch him. He'll look at you. He'll see his name on his nationality on the sign, what have you. And when we inquire, like, "Yo, what's your nationality?" "Oh, my father's Cuban." So all that being said, man, the time is coming where you can't just look upon a man for his outward appearance to determine whether or not he's an Israelite or not. Let's keep on moving. It says James 1:1. It says, "James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushai, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings." Now, this is very important, man, especially in the time period that we're coming into right now, knowing that the children were scattered abroad. And when we were scattered, when we went to these different nations, we mixed and mingled among these people, man. We went into these women that were of these other nations, had children with them, and those children had children with other nations of people, but consistently understanding that seed was still of the seed of Israel, regardless of what nation or nationality of people or female it went into. Okay? So being scattered abroad, that was one of the key things that was going to happen. Matter of fact, let's get it. This is 1 Ezra 8:70. It says, "For both they and their sons have married with their daughters, and the holy seed is mixed with the strange people of the land." Okay? So now there was a point in time where these things were not permitted, as it is going to tell you. It says, "And from the beginning of this matter, the rulers and the great men had partaker of this iniquity. So it was an iniquity to go and mix yourselves with the other nations of the world. All right. But nevertheless, we've mixed that holy seed among the stranger nations and had children with these women. And then when those sons rose up, they may have resorted back to the same strange people. Okay. So through the course of time, even though the appearance may have been changing, the seed and the spirit was not changing. Okay. So let's keep it moving. Let's go from there. Now look at this here. See them grains of sands? Now we are not only known because of the multitude by which the Lord called us. Let me see. This is Hosea 1:10. It says, "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which could not be measured nor numbered." You see? So the children of Israel were consistent with the sand of the sea, which could not be numbered or measured. But also on the flip side to it, look at the diversities of colors within the grains of these sands. You got white looking sand, you got black looking sand, you got brown looking sand, you got beige looking sand, you got a multifaceted of different shades of different colors of the sands, man. Likewise, when we're out there today, spiritual men are not just going to look at a so-called, Moabite or Edomite or Hamite and say, you look like them, you look like that nation, so you are that nation. Okay? The color of your skin is not predicated upon what your nationality is. Okay, you can have two men and a woman. You can have a man and a woman that has a child, and that the mother and father may be 5'6" and 5'4", and the child grows up to be 6'4", 6'5". Okay, just because their parents are of a smaller stature, that doesn't mean the child is going to be a smaller stature. Okay, so understanding, just because a child is born of a lighter skin complexion, that doesn't mean he's not of the children of Israel. Matter of fact, let me get this one here. This is Matthews 13:55. And they're speaking about Yahushua. And it says, "Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brethren James and Joseph and Simon and Judas?" So what was happening right here? Because he was the carpenter's son, it was impossible for him to be the chosen one. Just because he was the carpenter's son, now it doesn't make him being the chosen one of none effect. You see, if I explain that correctly. All right? So just because of one's skin complexion, one's looks, one's appearance, you can't use those factors solely to determine whether or not they are of the children of Israel. You can't do it, man. And that's why, when people come up, they're inquiring, they're inquisitive, they're they see themselves, they feel a certain way when they come up, especially when they come up and they sit there and they stand there for damn near for the length of the duration you speaking out there on the highways. Because now that spirit, the spirit is resonating, the spirit is within them. They're waking up to something, Continuing on. Going back to Isaiah 11:11. And it says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea." Okay? Why? Because we were scattered. We were all over the place. And once we got to certain locations, we mixed and mingled with the peoples of those lands, man. You know, you got men out there who are really steadfast on you can't look like no other nation to be a Hebrew Israelite, which is a very small-minded thing to say or to be in, man. You know, you got brothers who've had children with white women, okay, and their children have come out looking real light skinned or next to white. Does that not make them an Israelite? You got some Israelite children that have come out looking damn near like their mother. You know? So whatever nation it may be, you got so-called, Chinese people. Jake mixed and mingled with them. I used to be a big track and field guy. I used to watch track and field. There was this one Japanese dude, though they classified him as Japanese, his father was a so-called black man. And this dude was running 100 meters, man. This cat was floating like a butterfly. You see? And another thing, you also, we also determine or not determine, but judge by, one's ability and characteristics. You ever, we back in high school, what have you, or whatever realm you was in, you see some white dude, you like, yo, who this dude think he is, man? But he always had a certain swagger about him. He always had that certain flavor about him. You be like, yo, and you be like, Jake be like, yo, this dude over here, man, fucking, But once again, that's the spirit that's in that man. Did not the Lord say we are the salt of the earth? So the spirit that's in a man is going to pretty much give you, like that pizzazz, that whoa. What did Yahweh Shai say when he saw Nathan coming? He said, an Israelite indeed. Because of his swag, because of the way he was moving, the way he was carrying himself. And you see that amongst these other nations, some of these Elamites, some of these Hamites, they're so-called Hamites, so-called Elamites, these are Jakes, man. Because we have been scattered abroad. We was all throughout these regions in different lands, mixing, mingling the seed amongst these women, man. So it's very important, man, to be out and be very circumspect and be very spiritual when now people come up and read the sign, look at the nationalities on the sign, because now the spirit is dwelling, throughout the four corners of the earth, man. The spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, bringing people and waking people up. All right. So all that being said, let me get this last one in Acts 2, starting from 5 on down. It says, "Now were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven." So how can you justify by saying, the children of Israel got to be real dark skinned? So much so to the point you got Israelites saying the so-called Puerto Ricans and the natives aren't Israelites, man. How crazy is that? Shit. The northern kingdom got just as much salt as the southern kingdom, man. From Ephraim on down, they be getting down. Just check out Ephraim when they be seltzering. No heathen is gonna move like that, man. Getting thrown down in the kitchen, cooking, whipping shit up. No heathen's gonna be able to do all that. Sit there and say the so-called Puerto Ricans aren't Israelites. Come on, man. Motherfuckers out your damn mind. And it says, and now this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. Okay? Did not the Lord say he's going to work a work in our day, which we will not believe though it be told you? Okay? So you got men right now in this time period who are confounded because the men of Great Millstone may say, oh, Leo DiCaprio is an Israelite. Oh, John Travolta may be an Israelite. So on and so forth. You people are confounded at that. You all baffled. Oh, them Great Millstones are letting anybody in their camp. Though we were scattered amongst all the nations and mixed our seed with all these other nations. And it just becomes hereditary, so to say. I'll say that for lack of a better word, that if, let's say, a man, let's say Jake sleeps with an Edomite woman, okay? And that Edomite woman raises the child and brings that child now around the Edomite community, if you will. Then he's going to marry an Edomite woman and have a son or daughter. We'll say sons for the lesson. Okay? He has a son. Okay? So now you have the Jake that is light-skinned from the jump, marries an Edomite woman, has a son. Now that son's going to probably come out a little lighter, but keep in mind the seed is still traveling. And that son may marry an Edomite woman, and so on and so forth. And to the point where you get these so-called Edomites that look real white and pale, but they're Israelites. Y'all brothers follow me. All right? So all that being said, man, the Lord is working that work. We are not only known as the sand of the sea because of the number of us, but you can also take into consideration we are known as the sand of the sea because of the multitude of colors that we are. Since a lot of you men out there are so hell-bent on you got to be a certain color to be an Israelite. All right? So with that, I'm going to end it there. Lord willing, you were edified. Lord willing, I'll see you brothers in another show. I say shalom.